must be relinquished entirely. When your perception is biased, the bias gets applied to everyone you encounter in your day, doesn't it? If you're in a foul frame of mind, everybody gets it because you can't turn off your attitude, right? Attack is never discrete. Your attitude is never selective. It's gifted to everyone. And it's why attack must be relinquished entirely. Do you see that? If you're going to limit your attack to just part of the sonship or just part of your world, you're fooling yourself. You can't do it. Your bias will apply to everything. Therefore, because you cannot apply attack discreetly to a part of the sonship, the only way to have attack disappear is to abandon it totally. You've got to give up the attitude. You know, they say, you got to have attitude. Especially if you're from New Jersey, you got to have attitude. If you have attitude, it's gifted to everyone because you cannot gift it discreetly. If you don't want attitude shared with everyone, you have to share it with no one. You have to abandon attack. You have to abandon the bias completely. Continuing, if it is not relinquished entirely, it is not relinquished at all. Fear and love are equally reciprocal. Fear is exchanged reciprocally, love is exchanged reciprocally. And here's the key to the solution. Because you say, how on earth can I give up attack completely? By giving something else. You don't give up attack by self-discipline. You don't give up attack by getting hold of your mind and beating it into submission. You give it up by doing something else entirely. Do the only other thing that's reciprocal, wholly reciprocal, love. Make the choice. Then you're not in a state of denial of attack. You're in a state of affirming love, which in its extension is the movement of creation, which in its nature is the singularity of being embodied, which puts you in alignment with the Father. And because of the alignment, allows the Father to take the final step, where to your sense, you will slip the groove and be at one with the Father, never to slip back again. But this is how it works. Again, fear and love are equally reciprocal. They make or create, of course it's the ego that makes up, they make or create, which is what love does, depending on whether the ego or the Holy Spirit begets or inspires them. But they will return to the mind of the thinker, and they will affect his total perception. That includes his perception of God, of his creations, and of his, meaning yours, own. He, the thinker, will not appreciate any of them if he regards them fearfully. He will appreciate all of them if he regards them with love. Do you see how we're not talking about some theoretical thing called A Course in Miracles? We're talking about you and how you're using your mind, whether you're using it well or not, clearly or unclearly. How is this singularity, this ultimacy of you, finding expression? Continuing, the mind that accepts attack cannot love. That is because it believes that it can destroy love. and therefore does not understand what love is. When you attack, you want someone to hurt. When you attack, you want somebody to be impressed with the need to be miserable. Right? You want to kill their capacity to be loving. You want them to be distracted from it so that they will feel miserable. If you think you can actually destroy that one's capacity to be the presence of love, that the Father is being right there where they are, then you're confused about what love is, you're confused about what constitutes your brother, and you're confused about what constitutes you. Oh, that's wonderfully singular, isn't it? You're ignorant, ignorant, ignorant. But you're not bad. That's important. You didn't turn into a bad person. You're still the Christ expressing what you are, well or not well. You're still a singularity that isn't guilty of anything, because there's not a discrete, separate, bad person to be punished. There's just an expression of ignorance that needs to be replaced with understanding, with the knowing of the truth. So this principle of singularity allows for you to move forward while looking at what you were not doing well without getting caught up in guilt and punishment. Because there isn't a discrete self of you that is bad. Do you get that? Who cares how many lifetimes you've looked at flowers and thought they were just flowers? Who cares how many lifetimes, how many millenniums you've been ignorant of what's really there? It's irrelevant, because the whole time you've been the Christ and haven't stopped being the Christ, and whatever illusions you thought you created didn't actually get created, and the presence of God expressed as you didn't stop being the presence of God expressed as you. It's just that unconsciousness was experienced for a time that doesn't need to be experienced any longer. So there's not any you, who needs to be punished for the immense amount of life that you spent in denial of God. Do you see? So you can engage in seeing things new as they truly are, with enthusiasm, with real genuine curiosity and interest, because you don't need to be afraid that once having done it, you'll be told, now wait a minute, not so fast, buddy. Now you've been off the track for quite a while, and you don't think you're just going to get right into the kingdom of heaven, do you? Nothing like that is going to happen. The moment you abandon your ignorance, you're not ignorant. No ifs, ands, or buts, no questionnaire to fill out, no test to pass. When you've abandoned ignorance, you're not ignorant. Continuing. If it, the mind that accepts attack, does not understand what love is, it cannot perceive itself as loving. This loses the awareness of being, induces feelings of unreality, and results in utter confusion. Your own thinking has done this because of its power, but your own thinking can also save you from this because its power is not of your making. If you created your own mind, that would be one thing. But your mind is this singularity that we've been talking about, that is the indivisible and therefore undivided presence of God. And because God is where the power is, you, in your indiscretions and foolish expressions of willful creation of illusions that you never really accomplished, have kept yourself from experiencing what's real while not affecting what's real, and while not actually creating a density that you have to move back through to get to reality. And therefore, the shift of perception can happen instantaneously, can happen now, and there is no other time than now for it to happen. Continuing, your ability to direct your thinking as you will is part of its power. If you do not believe you can do this, you have denied the power of your thought and thus rendered it powerless where? In your belief, not as an actuality, but in your belief. Now, again, how is this power to be directed? This power is to be directed to only do one thing, and that is join with the Father, seek to be illumined by the Father's perspective, which is your birthright for you to be experiencing, and therefore actually constitutes your right mind right now. And then let it in, neglecting to do anything else. Got it? Neglecting to have an opinion about it, neglecting to think about it, neglecting to wonder about the consequences, neglecting to do anything else. Do only this. We're going to end with this next sentence, even though it's the first sentence of the paragraph, because it's what I want you to rest with for the rest of the week. The ingeniousness of the ego to preserve itself is enormous, but it stems from the power of the mind which the ego denies. Do you see? Are you getting it? You are the Christ. You have the authority of God when you let God be the authority in you. That's you in your right mind. That's the only thing that exists right where you are. The ego is a definition you've made up about yourself, is a definition that the Christ has made up. You might even say playfully. It doesn't have to be serious, calling for great consequences because it's an act of hate against God. It's something that can be done. So the Christ, you, made up a definition about yourself and chose to believe it instead of the direct experience of what you are. And so now you're not the Christ to yourself. You're a human being. You came from a sperm and an egg, you know. The event being a natural progression from the Big Bang of a universe that is purely physical and has nothing to do with God. And you have a body. The body has a brain, and there are chemical movements and electrical movements, and you have a mind. And it's your mind. It's private. It belongs to this body. It belongs to this body that is you, that is different from him and her and her and her. Oh man, you know. And the Christ is doing all of this. And as a result, the ego, this definition of yourself, is very ingenious in preserving itself. But the ingeniousness comes not from it because it's pure fantasy. It has no presence, except the presence you, the Christ, give it by giving your attention to it, in preference to giving your attention to God, which is the source of you and the presence of you. So, the ego preserves itself ingeniously, and it does it by using the power of the mind, which the ego is the absolute denial of. The ego says, you're not the Christ. You're not connected with a wholeness, a universalness. All of this that you're seeing isn't creation. It isn't the visibility and tangibility of a singularity. No. It's the manifestation of atoms and electrons and protons and neutrons and quarks and chance. Everything is discretely different, and it's held together by a web of attraction, gravity. And it goes on with an exquisite description of how it is that everything can be discretely independent, as further justification of the idea that you are discretely independent from God and from everyone else. Very ingenious. And it does it by employing all of the laws of creation in reverse. It employs all the laws of creation to demonstrate discrete, lawless independence, which, if left to itself, will destroy existence. And then it says your job is to keep existence from being destroyed. And it keeps you busy and distracted from the truth that would allow you to relax and find everything brought back into the singularity and the indivisibility of creation, and the joy and the peace that it's yours to be experiencing, and the love it is your birthright to be the presence of, the recognition of, the extension of, and the reception of. The ultimate is happening right here, right now, and you're either conscious of it or unconscious of it, but you are a singularity, being aware, well or not well, and so there's no contest. There's literally no contest. There's no devil. There's no evil force that has power to keep you from being what you are and remembering God. It's just a current embodiment of less than orderly mindfulness. That's all. That's not an indictment. It's just, that's all it is. That's all it is. And the answer to it is a curiosity to see things differently. In terms of the already present completeness of being that each of you is already using, and which, if you were using it better, would absolutely change your experience of being by bringing it back in harmony with what it truly is and bringing you back into your right mind. And heaven help me if I'm making it sound so simple that it's not really that interesting to explore. I love you all, and I look forward to being with you next week, including all you men whose motherhood you're going to be letting in more this week.